Right, welcome, C++ Code. So I faced an issue with Dev. I just come back here to Video Studio. So it's because I had to initialize these arrays differently. So I was doing the initialization in the same array. I have to do them in different loops rather. Sorry for that. So let's see how the code is working so far. So using G++, table.cpp, edit txt, so like 5 rows and yeah, as I want. And I have 5 rows and 5 columns. They're numbered 1 to 4 because, of course, you know how arrays count. That's been like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They count from 0, right? Maybe I want the first index to be 1 or 0. It doesn't matter. And let's make another loop where we're going to set the numbers for the arrays. I'm just going to say int another nested loop. I'm going to say I is equal to 0. I is less than num I plus plus. Goodness. I'm going to say for int j is equal to 0, j is a num, j plus plus. Right. So we're going to say, I may want to start at 1 because I'm skipping the first element at 1. Okay. So you know how multiplication tables work. So I'm going to say numbers at I comma j is going to be equal to the product of numbers at I index 0, that's in the first column, and numbers at 0 index j, that's in the first row. Cool. And that's going to work. Yeah. So let's see how that works. I hope it works. Just going to compile that. I'm going to run that 5 and there goes. It works. Alright, so it's just a matter of spaces and stuff, but everything else works well. So here you have it. You have 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2. 2 times 1 is 2. They have 3 because these are almost like 1. And here you have 2 times 2, 1. They also have just the numbers. This is 2 times 2, 4. 3 times 3, 9. 4 times 3 is 12. And 3 times 4 is 12. Alright, that's your multiplication table. Now that it's worked for a small number, I'm sure it should work for a big number too. Let's also try something nice. Let's try to see what happens if I use the space in front here first instead of putting at the back. I don't think it's going to be much of a change anyways. Yeah. So I go to compile that, run that. I'd like to go up to 10. Okay, it looks messed up, but there you have it. At least it's something. Yeah. It doesn't look so straight anyways, but we know 9 times 9 is 81. So at least that makes a bit of sense. There's a way you can check maybe the number of digits. That would be complicated. I'd have to check the number of digits and check. If it's a single digit number, then I'll print out 2 spaces. If it's a 1 digit number, then I'll print out um 1 space. Okay. There's a way you can do that. We know that the single digit numbers is very well, you'd have to check anyways. I'd have to include other libraries. But for now, it's good to know that the multiplication table works and we're good to go. So I can check out, maybe let's try, just going to compile that, I'm going to run it, let's try 5. Right, that goes, I have up to 5. Again, it's starting counting from 0. Yeah, but the way you can change that though, I think we could change that. Let's say 6. 6 is going to go up to 25, but let's say you want 6 to go up to 6, not really that. So what you're going to make is an array of num plus 1 instead of just num. Enter num, and then just say num equal to num plus 1. I'm just going to fix your code so it now goes to the number you've entered instead of 1 less than the number you've entered. Right, so I'm going to say compile that, I run it. 5, there goes, it's now going up to 25. Now for the cherry of today, or the pie for today, let's make Pascal's triangle. I'm just going to make a new file. Again, we know how Pascal's triangle works. I'm just going to call it triangle.cpp. Oh, I had no file for triangle.cpp. I'm going to create triangle1.cpp, and I'm going to run code, include iostream using namespace std int main. Right, go and make an integer create row, number of rows, just rows, and then first user, how many rows would you like your triangle to have? Cool. They're going to enter in number of rows, and I'm going to say, I'm going to make an integer array. So I'm going to say int triangle, Pascal's triangle, of course, it's going to be rows by rows. Okay, now to avoid the same problem we're having in the previous one, I'm just going to increase the rows by 1. So that, of course, remember again, arrays start counting from 0. So just going to say rows is equal to rows plus 1. If you can say rows plus plus, it can be something. Alright, and then we make an array. So first of all, initialize everything to 0. Oh no, sorry. For int I is equal to 0, I is less than rows, and I plus plus. And then for int j is equal to 0, j is less than rows and j plus plus. I'm just going to say cout. No, cout. I'm going to say triangle at I comma j. It's a square matrix, so if you want, you can say j comma I. Again, a two-dimensional array, you can think of it as a matrix. Okay, and then by m matrix, or n by n, whichever one is fine with you. And then let's make another one for output. So we're going to use the same indexes, I less than rows, and I plus plus. Let's say int j is equal to 0, j is less than rows, and j plus plus. And I'm going to say cout triangle at index I comma j. Okay, I'm going to print out at the end of every C++ file. Don't forget to add return 0. So let's try if you want to add return 0 or not, because you're going to work anyways. Then back that, compare it rather, run it, edit.exe. How many rows do they have? 5. Oh, this triangle was using. Okay, cool. Debugging this other one, j++ triangle1.cpp. I've got a triangle 1. Alright, I'm like have 5. Alright, it's printed out in raw form. And let's just fix that. After this for loop, I'd like to print out a blank line. Just going to save that and run it. So 5. Did I save that? Save, compile it and run. Why am I getting this? Oh goodness, I did the wrong one. Sorry. So ender still ender comes here, not here. Right, I going to compile that and then I run 5 rows. Okay, there you have it. So it's not really a triangle, so to say. It's a square 5 by 5, but I think that should work just quite as nice. Okay. Now we start. I'm going to make the first entry 1. Just the first entry. I'm going to make it equal to 1. I'm going to say, after this, I'm going to say triangle. Add 0, 0 is going to be equal to 1. Okay, I'll just run that again. So compile it, then run it. Like 5. So there you have it. This one is going to be the seed. It's going to generate every other number in here. Cool. If you come think of it. Yeah. Now, apart from that one, I'd like the first entry to be 1 also, or the first columns, or the elements in the first column to be 1s. Yeah, just for reasons. Just for reasons. Although, anyways, I think we still work with it, just to run anyways. I'm going to copy that. Copy. And let's make the triangle in this loop. So I'm going to say triangle at that is going to be equal to triangle I comma j is going to be equal to triangle at I minus 1 comma j minus 1 plus triangle at I minus 1, that's the previous row, at index j. Remember what you said when we were in the board? Okay. Each element is the sum of the elements on top, one in the previous column plus the one in the column just above it. Okay, that goes. I want to avoid one thing when j and I are equal to 0. So to avoid that, I have to start them at 1. I have to start j and I at 1. And I have to start this at 1 also. No, that's going to work well. Right, I'm going to compile that. I'm going to run that, and now like 5. So there goes. I have somehow some kind of Pascal's triangle, but not really what I love. I don't know if you can see it here. I have this. That's 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Okay. Now programming is more about debugging rather than writing code. Of course, if you're an efficient programmer, you don't have to debug. They have such good ones. So advised to check your code. Yeah, and that. So I'm going to say for the column number, second break. If I say 0,0, okay, I really want the first row. Let me try the first column. This is going to give me an error. And I know it's going to give me an error. Like 5 again, so I've expected it. You get error because I'm going out of bounds. It's giving me an out of bounds exception. It's giving me random numbers I don't want. Yeah, so maybe we may have to reconsider initializing all the first elements in the first column to 1, and maybe that's going to work. Or somehow. Let's try that. So I'll say just in here, I'll say triangle. And I, 0 is going to be equal to 1. Let's see how that works. Like you start this at 1, and that's 1, 2. Okay, there goes, we have a triangle, and all the elements in here are 1 as we wanted them to. I have a triangle. Now this is ugly, I don't want those zeros there. It looks more like an inverted matrix, so I'm not going to print them out. I'm just going to say here if I'm going to add a for loop. I'm going to say if my input, my element, triangle at index I, j, if it's not equal to 0. So if it's not equal to 0, that's when you print out this. Right, that's going to get rid of the zeros. I still have a Pascal's triangle, just doesn't look like the Pascal's triangle in the conventional sense would allow it to look like. That's 6 rows. So here it goes. I have a Pascal's triangle. If you look at it nicely, these elements are the elements in each row of the Pascal's triangle. And let's try to make it look more like the Pascal's triangle. Remember when I'm printing out the star and whatever shapes using loops, I'm just going to use that to print out empty spaces. So I'm just going to say int k is equal to 0. K is less than rows minus I. And then k plus plus. Then I'm just going to print out an empty space. Cool. So one loop prints out empty spaces, another loop prints out the elements in Pascal's triangle, and that should be good to go. Oh goodness, I'm going to say triangle. That's 5, and that looks more like Pascal's triangle. Maybe I'd like to have more spaces. I'm not sure. Let's try to add more spaces. Let's try to add 2 spaces here. Just make it out more spaced out so that they don't converge quite as quickly. There goes, I'm going to make up to 6 this row. I don't know what I've just done. Okay, let's go back to two spaces even here. Well, not so nice looking, but it's still Pascal's triangle, and nothing much we can do about it. I guess I'm just going to say that, but yeah, the rest is of output. Everything else is really Pascal's triangle. What you want in Pascal's triangle, they have. Maybe if you want to, you can do this. This may cause a change. Printing out a space before printing the number. Okay, compile that, run that. 5 doesn't make much of a difference, but it's okay. So I was actually trying out this, and I wrote Pascal's triangle early morning. It's working the same way. I just want to see what I did for the spaces. Okay, there goes. I'm just going to go back to triangle, and I'm going to increase these spaces. The spaces are going to be double of the space there, not equal. We run on triangle. 5, well, not so bad, not so nice also. Let's try 6. Yeah, there goes. Looks like Pascal's triangle. Well, the rest really is output and how you want it to come out to be very hard. Not very hard, but then you have to do a lot of debugging to just make it look nice like Pascal's triangle want it to be. But this is a computer, so you don't get that much nice output as you would expect. But there goes the written code straight out Pascal's triangle, and we've used nested for loops. The rest was just an output. If we could get the numbers in Pascal's triangle, then that was one good. So we just made sure to initialize every element in the first column to 1, every other element to 0, and we used a mental algorithm, the one we do when we're adding out the two previous numbers. We saw how that can be done with Pascal's triangle, and Pascal's triangle being our end result. Yeah, so that's that about multidimensional arrays. Sorry for the too much debugging. I didn't prepare much for these classes, but we still get something anyways. Happy coding.